Ranked play in PGA Tour 2K25 is a different beast. It exposes your bad habits, it cranks up the pressure, and with one mistake, your opponent can flip the match in a heartbeat. I've been there, losing 5 or 6 matches in a row, wondering why I'm even still playing. But once I started watching and studying high-level players and other streamers, things dramatically changed. A few smart adjustments, and now I'm not just surviving. I'm climbing the ranks and having a blast. And I want to help you do the same. What's up, you absolute legends? Lux Domino here. Today I'm breaking down the 5-step strategy that will completely change the way you play ranked in PGA Tour 2K25. I'll help you climb to Condor faster than you can say, "Is that a bird?" Make sure you stick around until the end because there's one bonus strategy. It's less about course management, more about messing with your opponent's head. When you use it right, it can be brilliant. We all need to remember, ranked isn't just about playing well, it's about playing smart under pressure. You've got limited holes, zero room for mistakes, and the higher tier you are, the better your opponents are. But the moment I realized winning isn't just about hitting good shots, everything changed. I went from losing 4, 5, even 6 matches in a row and stuck in bogey to winning over 80% of my games in just a few weeks. The secret? Outthink your opponent and use the game's mechanics to your advantage. And it doesn't get any simpler than changing your camera angle to get a little bit more information. During your opponent's turn, hit down on the D-pad to shift your camera angle from the standard sideways view to go straight down the line. It may seem too simple to really matter, but way too many players overlook this. It's one of the easiest ways to snag free and crucial info that could completely shift how you play your next shot. This angle gives you a clean look at their aim, their club choice, and how they're adjusting for the wind, all from the same camera perspective you'll have on your turn. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Lux, none of that info is actually on the screen, and you're right, but you could still piece it together. Just watch the club that they pick and watch the angle of the club face on the ground as they're aiming, and you'll get a pretty solid read on what they're trying to do. Then once they hit, pay close attention to the flight path and how the wind affects the shot. Did they come up short? Did they sail it past? You can even pick a mark in the distance in line with their aim and see how far to the left or the right their shot ended up being. Most players I've watched completely missed this opportunity. They just stick with the standard side camera and watch the shot play out. Why just sit there waiting for your turn when pressing a single button can give you a leg up on what the wind is doing and where to aim or where not to aim? And once again, it's all from the same camera perspective you get when it's your turn. Now you have an advantage of visualizing more clearly how the wind will affect your ball or how elevation might change the way you set up your shot. It takes a little heads up effort, sure, and using this information won't always help you dominate your opponent, but it might help you win a few holes here and there. And in ranked, well, legends, that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Don't try to win the hole, just try to win the match. Okay, Lux, what's the difference? Well, whether you're 1-up or 4-up, you win the match all the same. There's no bonus prize for domination. All that matters is that you win. There's an old saying in golf, your scorecard doesn't have eyes. It doesn't care how you made the par, just that you did. And the same goes for match play. How you win a hole doesn't matter. You're not out here trying to impress imaginary cart girl. You're out here to win the match, and that happens one hole at a time. If you're 1-up and you tie or have the next 2 holes, don't get frustrated thinking, man, I missed my chance to go 3-up. No, you're still in the lead, and that's a win. The lead didn't shrink, you didn't lose ground, you're still in control. Having a hole is actually a positive because you're maintaining pressure and forcing your opponent to make the move. This is the mental shift that separates the bad players who stay stuck from the ones who consistently win. Stop chasing hero shots and risky plays on every hole because par can absolutely win the hole. Take the easy par instead of gambling for a risky birdie. Having holes isn't a setback. It should be part of your strategy. Stay steady, stay smart, and let your opponent be the one who feels the pressure. Then, capitalize on letting them make the mistake. Too many players think that they need to hit the perfect shot every time to win. But in ranked play, the goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. We've all had that moment where we think, if I can hit this one perfect shot, But ranked isn't about the highlight reel. It's about staying in the match and letting them open the door for you to win just one hole. Remember, all you have to do to win the match is win one more hole than your opponent. So instead of going for some pin seeker shot over the water,
I can make it across,
trying to cut a corner on dog leg, think about the safest way to keep constant pressure on your opponent. If you're in the lead, it forces them to make the desperate moves. And if you're behind, and there's still enough time, play conservative but make calculated risks. Know when to take your medicine and lay up instead of always going for it. When they have a more difficult shot to pull off and you're a simple pitch or chip away from getting right next to the hole, they'll start to feel that pressure to perform. Remember, pressure builds. Every hole, swing, missed opportunity starts to pile up in your opponent's mind. But if you're steady, it can get really frustrating for them. They start to feel like they have to make something happen, and that's when they push too hard and they take risky shots, and the door from mistakes swings wide open. In order to win more ranked matches, I didn't have to be spectacular. I needed to be calculated. Always be setting up your most consistent and comfortable shots, and then start to decide the right time to step outside that comfort zone. When I started playing more controlled and intentional, I started winning more matches. Not because I was hitting better shots, although check out my video on my micro swing technique that seriously leveled up my ball striking. I started winning more because I was putting myself in better positions to win holes. If you do struggle off the tee, invest in the choke tee shot or even the stinger to control your dispersion and land in the fairway more often. If you're always rolling it past the hole into the rough on your approach shots, use the knockdown or the choked approach shot to dial it in around the hole. And even if you're pretty good around the green, you can always minimize your mistakes by using and perfecting the pick, the flop, and the super flop. Based on every elite and sweaty ranked player I have faced, and just about every high-level streamer I've studied, this is one non-negotiable. You gotta master the pick, the flop, and the super flop. They're your lifelines when you miss the green. And let's face it, even the best of us do. It's true.
The best of us.
First off, get to know your carry distances with these shots at 100%. With these three options, they aren't really easy to nail partials with, and there's no room for close enough in ranked matches. You also have to dial them in and know exactly how they're gonna react coming out of different lies. Flops especially can get really temperamental when you're in the thick stuff around the green, so know your numbers and know your lies, and always try and hit them at 100%. If you haven't unlocked the pick shot by leveling up a technician build, you owe it to yourself to do it. Pick shots are clutch. Less rollout, higher flight, perfect for tight pins and fast greens that ranked play is known for. But here's the catch. You have to aim a couple feet past the hole. I can't tell you how many times I just hit one without thinking and watched it drop way too short. Don't make that mistake. Account for the airtime, and the pick becomes a deadly accurate shot out of otherwise difficult greenside bunkers. Flop shots are still way more precise than any other short game option around the green, but you gotta respect a little bit of rollout. These are not the old school dead stop magic that they used to be. Thanks, 2K dev team. Depending on what wedge you're using, you might see some unexpected rollout past the hole. And if you're on an awkward lie, expect a janky swing plane, but that's where true shot comes in clutch. Just realign your shot path and reduce that severe bias. The more you practice a flop shot, the more you'll start sticking it to like 2 inches to the cup, no big deal. Then there's the super flops. Chef's kiss. Like I said earlier, they're not quite as OP as they used to be, but they're still money when you need to apply pressure from a tight lie into a tricky pin, or you just want to make sure that you're not leaving too much for your next putt. No rollout, pinpoint precision, it's still pretty sensitive to awkward lies, so make sure you double check that true shot before you pull the trigger. The more you work on these shots in the practice facilities, the less you'll fear missing the green during your actual matches. Knowing what's coming and not being afraid of the outcome is a massive mental edge, especially when it comes down to those late round toss-ups like heading into sudden death. Even if it does go to sudden death, don't panic, you're still in control. I'd say 95% of my sudden death matches haven't been won with a birdie or a heroic shot. They've been decided by who ends up closest to the pin. Think of it this way, if you made it to sudden death, it means you and your opponent are basically neck and neck in skill. The full 9 holes couldn't separate you. So odds are, one more hole won't do it either. So don't get tunnel vision and try to win the hole outright. Instead, lock in on one goal. Stick it closer than they do. Here's the kicker, as of recording this, closest to the pin doesn't even have to be on the green. You can land it right next to the pin 5 yards out on the fringe, and if your opponent is 18 feet away on the green, you still win. I hope the devs update this at some point to reflect a real life closest to the pin rules, but for now, this is how it works. Of course, you do still have to tie your opponent on the hole for this advantage to matter, but you'd be surprised how often the pressure of not being closest to the pin totally flips the script. What feels like a simple automatic shot for you might be sending your opponent into a full-blown identity crisis. Suddenly they're second-guessing everything. Why are the greens so fast? Can I legit get up and down from here? If the elevation is 4 feet up and the wind is 4 miles per hour to the south? I wonder if the 2K dev team hates me. Did I leave my truck running? Did my controller sabotage me on purpose? If bread is square, why is sandwich meat round? All I'm saying is, if your match reaches sudden death, that means you're evenly matched the whole way through. It's tight, but use this knowledge to your advantage. Be the one who sticks it closer and force them to respond. That little edge, just being a couple feet closer, can be the final crack in their confidence that lets you seal the deal. Speaking of advantages on the green, here's that bonus tip I mentioned earlier, and it's all about the subtle art of psychological warfare in ranked matches. Conceding putts isn't just a polite gesture, it's a total power strategic move. If you use it right, it can actually mess with your opponent's rhythm, build pressure, and even lull them into a false sense of security. If it's early in the match, concede your opponent's 3 to 5 footers without hesitation. It subtly tells your opponent, I'm not worried about you, you've got this. That fake confidence can be disarming. It makes them feel like, I'm rolling the rock well, even if they're not. Now here's where it gets fun. Once they've gotten used to getting their shorter putts conceded, they'll typically start doing it back. They'll concede your putts without making you earn them. And when that starts happening, you've planted the seed of complacency. When the match gets tight in later holes or even goes to sudden death, stop conceding any putts. Now they have to make those easy putts they were getting free all match long. And you'd be surprised how shaky people get. Their tempo falls apart, their confidence decreases, and the chance for a must-make putt missing increases. Just remember, don't spam the concede button like it's a default setting. Use it with intention on putts that your opponent could reasonably make. You're not just playing golf. Remember, you're playing your opponent. And you can start that by beating your opponent using their own mind against them. It just might give you an advantage over the player that seems unbeatable. If you enjoyed this video and want to help me keep the shades on and the bombs flying, take a second and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. And hey, if you want to hang out live, head over to twitch.tv/LuxDomino. We stream a couple times every week. It's like this, but live.
Oh, it's live, pal.
More laughs, more antics, and of course, more of you helping me reassure myself I can and I will not dunk it in the water on 17 at Sawgrass ever again. Keep chasing greatness, legends. I'll catch you next round.